Okay, we are back. I'm very happy to have on the Goldstein on Gelt show, Jon Sanchez. Jon is the CEO of Sanchez Wealth Management. He's based in Nevada, and he's an author, and he is also a radio show host. Jon, real pleasure to have you.
Doug, it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Listen, it's important, and I just want to announce to our listeners that they realize that you and I, both being in the financial business, are going to be talking about perhaps some complicated investment ideas, but people have to understand that what we're saying here is not individual investment advice, and everyone should be sure to speak to his own investment advisor before making any moves.
Indeed. Thank you.
All right. So, Jon, let's just talk about one specialty that you really focus on, which is retirement planning, and specifically IRAs. A lot of people have IRAs that are kind of dormant or just not doing anything. What are some of the strategies that you recommend that people can do to kind of reinvigorate their IRAs?
Well, Doug, I think IRAs are one of the lost, forgotten stepchildren. People tend to have funded them years ago, maybe in the old days when it was only a $2,000 contribution, but now you and I know that we can go much higher than that, $5,500 to $6,500, depending upon age. But all of a sudden, people are waking up one day and they're going, okay, retirement's staring me in the face. What are my different sources that I have? I have my 401k, and oh, by the way, I have that IRA that I haven't looked at in years. So the first step that I always recommend to everybody is blow the dust off those old statements, and let's take a look and see what you have, because people may be amazed at the amount of money that their IRA has accumulated to, and most importantly, what a critical income source that it can be for them.
Yeah, I think that is very important. And certainly, even if it hasn't grown to a huge amount, you have an opportunity because, well, Jon, you tell us, what sort of investments can people do inside of an IRA?
Well, essentially, Doug, the IRS regulations state that pretty much anything can be owned inside of an IRA, which our listeners are going to say, well, wait a minute here. I thought you can only do stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. No, that's not the case. Really, the IRA says what you can't hold in there, not what you can. And basically, the rules are you can't own life insurance and you can't own collectibles like stamps and rugs. But pretty much everything else, if the rules are followed, such as real estate, et cetera, can be owned inside of an IRA. You just have to find the proper custodian and the right financial advisor in order to do that. So you can really diversify your IRA if you put those pieces together.
And I think that one of the things that you said, which might have even surprised a lot of people, is that they can, in fact, own stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. A lot of people got the feeling that, in fact, they used to use a phrase that was wrong. They would say, I'm going to buy an IRA at my bank.
There you go. And I still hear that.
Yeah.
I still hear that. Or my IRA is maturing, and not that they're hitting 70 and a half, the required minimum distribution age. They think their IRA is maturing. Why? Exactly what you said. I bought a CD. The CD is coming due on December the 1st, so my IRA is over. No, that's not the case. IRAs, as you and I know, it's just nothing more than a title. It's the underlying investments that really make up the crux of the IRA.
And it creates a lot of opportunities for people as well. Jon, talk a little bit about something you had mentioned, which is a 401k, but the fact that people are able to roll their 401k into an IRA, tell us what that means and whether that's a good idea.
First of all, I think it's a phenomenal idea. Very rarely, I could probably count on both hands over my 20-plus year career, Doug, how many times I've told a client to leave their leave their 401k behind. And generally, the only reason I'll do that is if they have a major loan that's outstanding and they can't afford the tax hit or the income tax hit. But 99% of the time, it makes much more sense for someone to do what's called an IRA rollover. And that's where we transfer money, which, by the way, is a non-taxable event, from a 401k into an IRA rollover account, which technically nowadays we don't even call them rollover accounts. They're just called IRAs. But the reason behind it, Doug, is you and I have both studied with our clients is this. Money that's left in a 401k, what I tend to notice, it's forgotten. It's kind of like the IRAs we were just talking about. In addition to that, if you leave it inside that 401k, you are very limited by the investment choices. So it's like going to your favorite restaurant and they give you a menu and that's all you can select from. When you move it to an IRA account, now the whole world opens up to you, as we just discussed a moment ago, to a number of different IRAs. So you and your financial advisor can really customize a great investment plan specifically for your goals and your risk and hopefully your income needs that you wouldn't have available to you if you kept it in the 401k.
Yeah, I think also just the fact that you have more control over it. What I found is people, they feel, like you said, they forget about it, or they know that the money is in the 401k, but they almost don't feel as if it's their money. So
Right.
they don't think they can manage it. They don't build it into their financial plan. But once it's in your IRA and you have your financial advisor to talk to you about it, then you get a real great opportunity for, in fact, making a much better financial plan. We're talking with Jon Sanchez, who is the CEO of Sanchez Wealth Management. He's based in Reno. He's also an author, and he has a radio show as well. Jon, let's talk about now more in depth what you should do if you have money in an IRA, especially today when interest rates are so low. What are the real and reasonable possibilities for, let's say, retirees?
Well, let's step back just one step and say, why do we want to even think about moving our IRA or evaluating it? And it really comes down to that magical time that we call retirement, right? Retirement, the way I define retirement, Doug, is retirement is the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Well, to do that, it requires income. So we have two sources of retirement income, fixed income and variable income. Fixed income comes from your traditional sources, such as Social Security, maybe if you're lucky enough to have a pension. Other sources of reliable income that are not affected by the day-to-day gyrations of the stock market. The variable side of the equation comes from exactly what we're talking about, your variable income sources, which is something like a 401k rollover, an IRA, a taxable brokerage account, et cetera, something that could fluctuate in value. And when it fluctuates in value, that means most likely your income could fluctuate. So what we want to do is, first of all, determine what are going to be our income sources in retirement. So if a client comes to me and we run a cash flow projection and it says, all right, we need $5,000 in fixed income and $3,000 in variable income, then it's very simple for us to run the math and start backing into those numbers and saying, well, in order to hit the $5,000 in fixed income, it's very simple. We need $5,000 at least in fixed income sources. So what are our sources? And then we do the same exercise on the variable side. Well, what we find usually is there's always a gap there. Very rarely do I ever come across someone that says, oh, all my income needs are met. No, that's why they're coming to us, is to say, how do I start to shorten down that shortfall between my income needs and my expenses? And then, of course, we start gathering these old IRAs and these old various accounts to come up with a lump sum money to help them supplement on the income side.
So let's drill into that a little bit further, which, let's say that a person has $1 million, which is, a lot of money, and he needs that extra $5,000 a month. To get $5,000 a month off $1 million would require a return of about 6% a year. Very, very hard to get in a conservative investment.
Sure.
Is it reasonable for him to start eating into principal, or do you think that there are tools that are reasonably available? And I keep using the term reasonable because you can always find someone who's going to sell you some flash in the pan investment, which is super high risk, but he'll tell you that it's really safe. So that's not the space that we're in.
No, not one bit. Is it reasonable? Yes. There are a lot of fixed income sources out there, and again, due to compliance reasons, we can't get into specific details, but people can take a look at things like guaranteed income annuities, SPIAs, which stands for single premium immediate annuities. Those provide some great income sources. You can look at various real estate types of products, whether it's physically owning real estate or some other types of real estate products. And then, so that kind of helps the fixed side. And then the variable side, that's where the proper asset management of a variable income account, like an IRA rollover, really comes into play, is finding that right financial advisor and money managers to say, look, I think conservatively in good markets or bad markets, my account will grow at X percent of rate of return, and therefore I'm going to take off a percentage off of that to help provide for that retirement income. So it comes down to that tactical management that is so very important these days versus the buy and hold strategic management.
Mm-hmm. I really like the fact that you use the word tactical and strategic because as the listeners of the Goldstein on Gelt show know, I'm about to come out with a book about how the strategies of chess can be applied to developing and managing a portfolio. And I co-wrote the book with a world chess champion, Susan Polgar, who is one of the top players ever in the history of the game. And one of the things that she spoke to me about a lot when we were writing the book over the past 5 years was specifically about like what you were saying, which is you've got to look at the strategies. In other words, develop the big picture, but nuts and bolts, you still have to make a move. You can think all day, but you have to find something to do, which leads me to my next question, Jon. One of the other areas that is very much related to interest rates and kind of the opposite side of the coin. We spoke for a minute about what do you do to invest in a low interest rate environment. The other side of the coin is a lot of people have a mortgage or they have the opportunity to take a mortgage at a very low rate. Is that a wise thing to do as you are near retirement or perhaps even in retirement?
Boy, that is probably one of the toughest questions that you and I in the financial planning world live with. A client comes to us and they say, I'm thinking of either paying off my existing mortgage or I'm thinking of upsizing or even sometimes downsizing. Do I take out a mortgage? When markets are doing well as they are right now, it's very easy for a financial advisor to go back to the basic math, right? You're a CFP. One of the basic things that we're all taught in our industry is what's the rate of return versus what's the cost of money. So in other words, if you're comfortable saying I can earn a 6% rate of return on my portfolio, but my mortgage is only costing me 3.5%, well, geez, it's a no-brainer that I want to take out this mortgage and keep my money working for me. That works fine for some people, but in reality, I like my clients, Doug, to go into retirement as close to debt-free as possible. Many times, and I'll surprise new clients with this because I'm one of the few financial advisors that will say, no, don't give me the money to manage. Let's take care of your debt.
Right?
Yeah, give it to your bank. But if I can get them into retirement with virtually no debt, even if financially it makes more sense for them to keep that mortgage, just that peace of mind, because again, as the markets are doing well, it's very easy to say, oh, let's just manage the money. But you and I have lived through the 99 2000.com era, the 2002, the 2008, 2009. And I'll tell you what, there is nothing better than when a client comes in for an account review and that pressure is off of them and frankly off of us to provide a high level of income when the market's not cooperating just to make that mortgage payment. When they know that they have that mortgage free and clear, it's an incredible amount of peace of mind. So I like getting that thing paid off as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm. And I think the phrase that you used, which was financially versus peace of mind, is so critical because the fact is what I spend most of my time doing, and I bet you do also, is not analyzing the markets all day, but it's working with people and trying to understand what they can really accept in terms of volatility and what their goals are and what their dreams are. And people are not spreadsheets, and you can't just say, look at the spreadsheet. Everything's going to be okay, or you are a statistical anomaly. No one wants to hear that. But I do know that what people want to hear, John, is perhaps a little bit more from you. And unfortunately, we're out of time today. We've been talking with Jon Sanchez, based in Reno, Nevada. He is an author and a radio show host. John, in the last few seconds, just tell people, how can they learn more about the work that you're doing?
Well, first, you can go to our website at sanchezwealthmanagement.com. We've got a great monthly newsletter, of course, all the social media to keep update on different things we're thinking about and strategies and ideas, as well as you can go to the iTunes store and listen to just search The Jon Sanchez Show. My first name is spelled Jon. Listen to the show along with Doug's great show. And the bottom line, Doug and I are both advocates of one thing, and that is educating our audience. There's no selling or commercials or infomercials. That's not our style. It's all about educating the audience each and every day. The show appears from 5 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Pacific Standard Time. It's live. We welcome your questions. We get questions from around the world. So, Doug, again, I'm going to look forward to having you on my program to tap into your wealth of knowledge, but love to have your audience join us periodically also.
Okay, I'm sure they'll look forward to that, and I will put links to all of that at the show notes at goldsteinongelt.com. Jon Sanchez, thank you so much for your time.
Doug, it's been an honor to be on your program. Good luck to you.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.